let's talk about the immune system, and immune enhancement is a common remedies. What are some of the ways that you employ that?
Well, there's the basics. When you stop and think about it, the immune system requires a tremendous amount of energy to do its job. Like, for example, if you have a flu, what happens to you? You go lay down and you sleep
Mm-hmm.
for a day or
Shut
two or
down,
three.
yeah.
And why is your body shutting down like that? It's doing a tremendous amount of work. The immune system has become the highest priority for energy distribution. So you get to do the basic stuff like breathe and think a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And pancreas, etc., are working, but you don't lost your appetite. All this energy is being funneled towards that immune system because there's a lot of energy requirements of that immune system. So the most primary thing I look at when there's immune change, where the immune system is not functioning as vigorously, is to supply it with the energy it needs. Huge. People are often approaching the immune system of what herb can we take, etc. And this is at the other end of the spectrum to me. The immune system doesn't have an herbal deficiency, but it can have an energy deficiency. So now we're into a humongous topic. How did someone have a vigorous immune system when they were in their teens and 20s and they could shake off a cold in a day or two and a flu, and now it's taking a lot longer and their skin wounds aren't healing as quickly? How did that change take place? Number one, energy loss. Oh, well, how did that happen? Well, now we're into some deep water. You thought toxicity was deep. Being able to assist someone with energy, because if you can help, and one of the things that we ask on our questionnaire is, rate your energy on a scale of 0 to 10. And when someone's ill, they're saying stuff like 5, 4, 3. They know how different their energy level is from when they were younger. And that's going to speak right to the immune system in a very basic way. And so how do you help them with that? Well, you look for the big stuff to support the immune system and the energy system. And you look at the hormones and neurotransmitters, because they're major drivers of metabolism. Like thyroid hormone, for example. Anyone who's low in thyroid loses energy. And anyone who's way low in thyroid, they're in bed. They don't move. They don't have any energy because thyroid hormone is needed to drive metabolism. It's one of the principal drivers of it. And yet, hypothyroidism is almost epidemic. Why? Because people put their thyroids under too much demand for too many years with all the stresses they're not handling in a really skilled way. And the thyroid gland rises to the occasion as best it can, and it'll put out more thyroid hormone. But it can't do that endlessly, as the father of the stress response, Dr. Hans Selye, pointed out to us. And now I just mentioned the thyroid gland. Let's talk about the adrenal glands and the neurotransmitters. They too deplete over time. These are major energies and drivers. If we took a pill of some adrenaline, for example, and there's artificial adrenaline available, we'd be so amped up, we'd be on fire with energy. Now it'd be short-lived, and there'd be some fallout and some afterglow, and some loss. But these chemicals are really needed for driving energy. So all of a sudden we shift our attention from the immune system to the energy that it is major, coin of the realm, fuel that it needs is energy, to what's driving energy. So here we go. We're starting with the hormonal system and the neurotransmitters, and this is a very fruitful area to explore. Because if you've been on the earth 50 years and you've been through challenges of nutrition, stress, and exercise, you are going to have diminished and unbalanced hormones and neurotransmitters. And you throw in menopause or andropause into that mix, and they're going to be lower. So this is an area of where you can really make a difference for someone. And a lot of holistic doctors are spending a lot of time beginning with that system. Now there's other systems that can take the attention away from the immune system. It can have challenges that it shouldn't really have to deal with. And some of those challenges can be coming from the food supply, because our intestinal tract is this okay to be going into this level of detail?
I had that on there anyway. So
yeah, I didn't.
Go for it.
I think very often we think in terms of, well, what can I take? What pills can I take?
Yeah.
Modern capsules, supplements can I take? They're out there, but you see I'm putting them on the back burner because, through my way of thinking, they're not anywhere near as important as the fundamentals here. And so the gut, you want a holistic detective exploration where we're looking for where's the trouble.
Mm-hmm.
It always includes the hormonal system, the neurotransmitter, and the gut, because the food supply, we should not be having an immune reaction to the food supply, but people do all the time. And that means some of the foods they're eating, their immune system's reacting to. And you know, those people don't feel so well. Like there's some people who have quite the reactivity to the gluten in wheat.
Mm-hmm.
And you know this, being in the field that you're in. But it can be profound. And they might not even know it. They know they're feeling lousy. They know they got joint pain or all kinds of other symptoms that you can have from eating wheat. But they haven't got in the beginning, they may not have it boiled down to, my God, when I eat wheat, I'm having this major response. Well, what kind of response? Well, it's an immune response. The immune system is attacking that gluten molecule. So if we're concerned about the immune system's fighting off germs and cancers, which is, I hold them to be the highest priority, we don't want to have to do these extraneous tasks like having to deal with what we've eaten for lunch. And you know, and there's a tremendous molecular exposure from what we eat. And if there's not friendly molecules in there, the immune system's going to be the mop-up crew. And we don't want, so we don't want to divert their attention towards this. And this gets a little more complex. And I think you know this, that there's been a lot of difficulty that our intestinal tracts have come under.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes infections with these organisms that don't give us frank diarrhea or constipation, but they're in there and they're a problem. Some bacteria, some yeasts, very common stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Even some amoebas and parasites at times. And when you get infections and inflammation, even of a low-grade character that you don't have a bellyache from, but they're in there problematic, you get inflammation in the gut wall. And the gut wall becomes more porous than it ought to be, something called leaky gut.
Mm-hmm.
And this tiny, tiny pores that only really want the tiniest of best digested food to go through that and make it into the bloodstream, they get bigger. And they're allowing bigger molecules to pass out of the gut and into the bloodstream. Leaky gut. And when you couple that with so many of us eating too fast, not chewing enough, having diminished hydrochloric acid and digestive enzymes as we grow older, not because we grew older, but we had those diminished because of stresses, stress response. You got poor digestion, incomplete digestion. Instead of being the food broken down to the tiny little molecules that we want it to be, there's larger molecules. And if those larger molecules make it through a leaky gut, they get met by the immune system in the bloodstream. And that's a major thing to think about. I'm not saying everyone has this, but as far as what is the high priorities to help the immune system, you want to take away its provocateurs that shouldn't be there. So you've got to get people to chew to help digestion. There's actual reasons of physics why that makes such a difference. They've got to eat slower. They got to eat when they're not stressed. Sometimes they have to augment digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid. There's a universal epidemic of diminished hydrochloric acid on this planet. When we test people, we find that out. And then we have to look for intestinal infections and do what we need to do to get rid of the infecting organism and restore the 3.5 pounds, the trillions and trillions of healthy bacteria that belong in there, because they're very protective. So you got a gut project. You got a hormonal project to do just to help the immune system get freed up from the burden of not enough energy and all these provocateurs that it's having to handle when it really wants to focus in on the germs and the cancers, the cancer cells. And that's what I hold as the most important projects that we can possibly do. Now, in the world of molecules, there's some nutritional supplements and vitamins and minerals that can make a great deal of difference in energy production and the function of the immune system. And there's also some herbs that actually, they provoke the immune system into rising to the occasion, into waking up from being sleepy and sluggish. And so there's all kinds of these esoteric supplements that I'd rather not name here. I'd rather people really get the preference of their health practitioners, that there are supplements that you can take. Now, I haven't given you an exhaustive answer to a humongous question like how do you help the immune system, but I think I entered where I think the real mattering
Sure.
is.